As fans of video games, most of us wonder and dream about our favorite game worlds combining. When it comes to games made by the same group of people, this idea can gain a lot of steam, which is something we see in the Fallout universe when it comes to the Elder Scrolls. Many people have looked for links between the two universes. Thanks to a well-known Easter egg in Fallout 4, that theory really took off. Before we start looking into this bit with my own ideas, I want to state that I understand what an Easter egg is. I realize that odds are, the Nirnroot we see in Fallout 4 was likely added as a fun nod to a sister series, but what if it wasn't? What if we could use some lore from both games to explain not only why this plant is in both games, but why they could share an expanded universe? One thing of note is that Nirnroot is not the only thing that appears in both games, especially in plant life, though it may seem pretty obvious to point out things like grass, trees, flowers, rocks, and other familiar biomes exist in the Elder Scrolls. Still, people don't link it with Fallout over these things because of how common and universal they are. When it comes to Nirnroot, it's pretty specific. This is a plant seemingly invented in the Elder Scrolls universe, thus its appearance in Fallout 4 lends a bit more weight when discussing something like this, as if we disregard its Easter egg status, meaning we look at it as just an item in both games and not as a fun nod to the Elder Scrolls, we have two possibilities. Either A, the Elder Scrolls and Fallout somehow share the same universe, or B, Nirnroot is more cosmically common than previously thought. It just happens to be in the Commonwealth area of the Fallout universe and nowhere else. It's important to state that Bethesda, or rather Pete Hines, debated this clearly back at E3 of 2017, going on to say that because Interplay made Fallout in the 90s and that Bethesda was working on Elder Scrolls separately, he has no idea how anyone could ever assume they were in the same universe. Well, Pete, I have about the same amount of Elder Scrolls knowledge that I assume you have for Fallout. Even I can see why people think this theory has weight. But judging by Pete Hines' reputation of being generally annoyed by doing his job, it's not a surprise that he couldn't see this very obvious and popular Easter egg as a tie between the two biggest IPs he represents. But I digress. So how could a small, tonal plant really tie two enormous game worlds together? Well, I'm glad you asked. Using my elementary level of passing knowledge on the Elder Scrolls lore, I'm here to tell you my theory on how it's all connected. Using mythology on both sides, I'm confident that this theory is a fun way to look at the two universes' events and give Nirnroot a better home in the Fallout world. Let's start with what Nirnroot is. In the Elder Scrolls universe, Nirnroot is a rare plant that carries magical properties. It's often used in alchemy, though it is said to be stain resistant on clothes and brewed into wine. Nirnroot has a variety of specific conditions to grow. One of the most essential ingredients is the acidic juice from the Jazbay grape, which we see an example of in Skyrim with Arusa Sarithi. She will task the Dragonborn with gathering 20 of the grapes to cultivate the Nirnroots in her garden, making her the only person we know to grow them from seed to plant, at least in this universe. But what about the Fallout universe? Well, this is where we have to open our minds just a bit. I would like to state that what follows is just a theory and would likely be debunked by Bethesda's official sources. Still, I will go over how these game worlds could be tied together with minimal effort from the writers. We will focus on Fallout 4 as this is the only title in which what I believe to be Nirnroot grows in-game. Suppose you are confused a bit about what I'm referring to. If that's the case, it is the experimental plant found in the Brotherhood of Steel's Pridwen. This is why we must keep an open mind, as even the wiki for said plant states the plant's appearance, characteristics, and preference to grow near water are a reference to the Nirnroot from the Elder Scrolls series, another game series produced by Bethesda Game Studios. But they post that the following is based on unverified behind-the-scenes information and has not been confirmed by canon sources. This boils down to the fact that this is likely a fun Easter egg that never intended to have any canon weight, a slight nod to a sister series. If we take the long way around though, we can come to some pretty fun conclusions that tie things up pretty well. In Fallout 4, what I will be referring to as Nirnroot from now on is seen growing in the Pridwen. From what we know, this plant was found at a river's mouth by a Brotherhood field scribe, who thought its unique chemical properties warranted taking it back to home base. This is important to note because we also know that the plants did not start showing their bioluminescence, the telltale glow of the Nirnroot, until a bit later, after it was already on board the Pridwen. That means that by itself, this ordinary looking, possibly irradiated fern caught the attention of a Brotherhood field scribe who usually would only show such attention to high value tech. In fact, the Brotherhood had already started using the root in tea, much like those in the Elder Scrolls universe, before it began glowing. The scribes also noted the restorative properties of the plant. They felt healthier and stronger than ever before after ingesting it, though throughout the ranks, many called for a stop to the tea brewing, claiming it had become addictive. This lines up precisely with how we see Nirnroot being used in the Elder Scrolls. To a T. No pun intended. But what is the bigger picture? I hear you asking your screen angrily. What ties these worlds together more than a random plant? Likely an Easter egg inside the Pridwen. The Brotherhood, for one, are only interested in tech and new discoveries. At least history shows us they are. For them to take such an interest in this plant, testing it and even growing it, this indicates that there is something extraordinary about this root. But if they are the same plant, the ones we find in the Pridwen and the Nirnroot of, say, Skyrim, how does the Brotherhood grow them? As we covered earlier, the only way to produce Nirnroot, seed to plant, is with the acidic juices of the Jazbay grape. So if we don't have those, and these plants are growing, then it can't be the same plant. What if I told you we did have Jazbay grapes too, and that they've been in front of our eyes the entire time? Looking at most of the plant life in Fallout 4, we can see it has mutated or changed over time, sometimes becoming ragged or bloated as a result. Looking at the Jazbay grapes in Skyrim, really only one thing comes to mind in comparison to Fallout 4. The Mutfruit. Again, with an open mind, we can see that Mutfruit indeed looks like a bloated, radiated version of the Jazbay grape. And what do we find in the Pridwen? Why, it's some Mutfruit, more than likely used to grow the root after it was studied by the Brotherhood. More than likely, it was what made the plant start glowing in the first place. Still, this doesn't tie the worlds together quite yet. It's a similar plant with similar properties, sure. That doesn't mean that Fallout and Elder Scrolls exist in the same universe. What if I told you it was just a hint? A hint that was even elaborated on in Far Harbor, a DLC released for Fallout 4. The only other time we see this Nirnroot in Fallout 4 is on the island in the Far Harbor DLC. And where is it located? Right next to Adam's Spring. This leads us to the bigger picture and why I think the two worlds are connected in a much more significant way than most people think. In the Fallout universe, the children of Adam are often looked at as some loony cult. The ragged followers of Adam usually appear to be attracted to highly radiated sites, seeking to be closer with the one they call Adam. They look at nuclear devices as bringers of life. But who is Adam? In Egyptian mythology, Atum, finisher of the world, was one of the most essential deities from the earliest times. Atum was considered to be the first god, having created himself. It is said that he created Shu and Tefnut by spitting them out of his mouth while masturbating or some weird shit. In Fallout 4, we see this group that follows Adam. This is likely a reference to this Egyptian god, even though it's clearly speaking about the Atom, referencing the bombs. Seeing that Atum's name means to finish, and that the nukes brought by the Atom did just that, we can still tie these together due to the fact that, with the exception of various Lovecraftian horrors, Adam is the only deity of this nature to prove their existence, meaning we could very well be dealing with an Egyptian god. But, more than likely, we are dealing with a Daedric prince. First, let's talk about how Adam has proved that he is real in the Fallout series. One of the first things to bring up is the resistance to radiation the children of Adam seem to possess. While we may see some of their flock looking a bit sickly and for sure radiated, note that those who have gained Adam's favor seem fine, even healthy. At these levels of radiation, most people would be dead. Keep in mind that these people choose incredibly radiated places to set up camp. Nuclear craters, active atom bombs, and even a damaged nuclear submarine. These areas produce high levels of rads, yet the children of Adam not only live there, but also thrive. So what worldly explanation could be given to this? Unlimited supply of rad chems? We even see a rad removal arc in Far Harbor that the children of Adam have rigged to dish out even more rads. They can't get enough. Besides them, ghouls would be the only group to crave rads this much, yet no ghouls in sight. This leads me to believe there is something to Adam's protection. Glossing over the fact that the children of Adam are the only faction in the entire series to use hieroglyphs or similar symbolism, one of their principal deities appears to the player directly in Far Harbor in the form of the Mother of the Fog. After contact with her, the children of Adam treat the player like a saint. What does this have to do with the Elder Scrolls? Well, it goes back to that Daedric prince idea. These guys in Elder Scrolls lore were the ones who decided not to participate in the creation of Mundus, the realm of existence that encompasses Nirn. This planet houses Tamriel, a continent where all of the Elder Scrolls games take place. Instead of helping Lorcan with this project, the Daedric princes would create their own domains out of themselves in Oblivion. I'm referring to the realm of Oblivion here, not the game, bear with me. The Void of Oblivion houses many planes of these Daedric princes, each one incredibly unique to their personalities, like Sheogorath's Madhouse, also known as the Shivering Isles, belonging to the Daedric Prince of Madness. The realm consists of 3 parts, Mania, Dementia, and the Fringe. This shows that the power of these Daedric princes is strong. Within their realm, they are king, and I submit that during the newer Fallout games, the ones that include the Children of Adam, that we are in one of these realms, the realm of Adam, likely led by the Daedric Prince Atum. Now, does that Daedric Prince exist in the lore today? No, but who's to say that we really know every Daedric Prince? One as powerful as this clearly would warrant a story, but maybe we already have it. Bethesda's Fallout games may just be elaborating on this much more than we thought with these little hints. So in conclusion, this is likely not the case. This is just a tangent spawned by a small Easter egg. Still, as I said earlier, with a little effort from Bethesda writers, this could be a reality. For now, it's just a fun theory to think about. Fallout's Nirnroot Conspiracy. Thank you for watching my video about how these 2 games could be tied together. If you enjoyed this and want to see more gaming video essays, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel now. It helps out a lot. I want to thank my patrons and YouTube channel members, and a special thanks to my biggest supporters: Fireflare, JP Rivera, Slib, Primarch Mustard, Edgy, Bill Scott Sheets, Alexander Cobb, Thomas, Papa Swanson, Billy Joe Jimbob, Mr. Z, Hatched Bread Gaming, and Phil Starsick. Thank you all so much for the support. I couldn't do this without you. I will catch you on the next one. It has been Mantis.
I gotta testify. Come up in the spot looking extra fly. For the day you die, you gon' touch the sky. You gon' touch the sky, baby girl. Testify. Come up in the spot looking extra fly. For the day you die, you gon'